Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a much debated topic matter, even though the rules here are very clear and have not changed since the 70s. Today, we're going to be talking about your real estate photo rights. Who owns them and how can you use them? Whether you're an agent, broker, stager, or photographer, this is all crucial information you must know to keep yourself out of hot water. Let's jump right in. Thanks, everybody, for coming back for another episode. And today, we're going to be talking about that dreaded topic of photo rights. I'm going to be talking mainly about the real estate industry in this video, but this information pretty much applies to every photographer and every client of photography. Even though the information I'll be talking about is focused on real estate, it is still valid for any other photo or video content creator. So let's get right into the first topic. Topic 1. Who owns the real estate images I paid for? This is really simple answer. The photographer that took them. I know this may sound a little unnatural to those of you asking the question. I paid for them. Shouldn't that mean I own them? Well, let's talk a tiny bit about American copyright law, specifically when it comes to photography. Under the Federal Copyright Act of 1976, photographers are protected by copyright from the moment of creation. According to the U.S. Copyright Office, the owner of the work is the photographer. This copyright can be sold under contract, but without documentation, the rights belong to the creator. Well, what does that mean? It simply means that the moment a photograph is taken, a copyright is automatically created and given to the creator of that image. Even if you are the subject matter of that photo, think headshots or portrait work, you still do not own that photo. The creator of that photo is always the owner of the image. You are technically only purchasing the rights to use that image. The law here is very clear-cut with no room for other interpretations. This law was established to protect the rights of photographic artists from those who would use their work without their permission. Topic 2. What if I want to own those images? Now, this is the part where someone will always ask me, well, I want to own all the images you take from me. And every photographer will respond one of two ways. Either, okay, that will cost you an extra this amount of dollars, and I can guarantee you that price is not cheap. Or a simple, I'm sorry, I do not do that. Asking a photographer to own their images is usually considered pretty taboo unless you are offering a lot of money. That's because selling you the rights means they can no longer use that image for anything. Not for their portfolio, not to show potential clients when they want samples of the work, and not for resale later. Instead, photo usage rights are priced by the amount of time they'll be used in the advertising space and how large that audience is. It's what allows us as photographers to keep our real estate prices so low compared to the other forms of photography we may offer. The reason MLS photography is usually so much cheaper than architectural or commercial photography is because of the usage rights associated with those images, but more importantly, the amount of time those photos are used. Once again, generally speaking, the longer you want to use those images, the more they will cost. Since most properties are only on the market 6 months total, it means that these images are used for a very short amount of time, and that is one of the main factors that allows it to be so cheap. Compare that to a professional headshot that will be used for years and years, or an advertisement in a magazine that will be there forever. That is one of the main reasons it costs more to get one headshot image than it does to get 30 interior MLS photos taken. One is used for 4 weeks and the other is used for 4 years. There have been a few companies in the past that have tried writing into their contracts that every image taken for them now belongs to them and not the photographer. But those companies quickly removed that from their terms of service because no photographers ever allow it. It took Instagram about 1 week to roll back that rule after losing about a third of its customer base almost overnight. That's just one really popular example I can use, but there have been real estate companies out there that have tried the exact same thing. Problem is, if you are hiring a professional photographer and not just some random amateur that happens to take photos, they will almost never sign that contract, and they will definitely view it as a strong arm technique. Professional photographers will never willingly and in advance sign away the rights to their creations because they know every image has the potential to create a future revenue stream for themselves. Now, all of this is just to give you a little insight into why photographers will never willingly give away the rights to those images without a lot of money involved. Topic number 3. Do I even need to own those images? The answer here is a very simple no, you do not. Whether it's a formal or verbal contract, as long as you and the photographer have an agreed upon arrangement on the use of the photos, you are 100% in the clear. Keep in mind that this is up to you as the client to be very specific about the uses of your images, how you want to use them, and how long you want to use them. Not only that, but where you want to put these images. There's absolutely no reason for you to own the photos of the house you are listing for sale unless you want to overpay for those services. Topic 4. What rights do I have to those photos? This is where that conversation with your photographer or photographic company really matters. This is either a conversation to be had or a contract to be signed, depending on who your photographer is. If there's a physical contract signed, then it will be very clearly stated where you can and cannot use these images. If there is no contract and you and your photographer have never had this conversation, then I can go over a few different products you probably receive right now from your photographer and talk about the rights you have to those photos, generally speaking. Another thing to keep in mind here is that since you do not own these images, you cannot give them away for others to use. You cannot allow outside vendors to use these images without the photographer's permission. This means neither the stager you hired nor the contractor who painted those walls can use these images for advertising their company without the previous consent of the photographer. Now, let's talk about MLS photography. If you're getting images done for your property for sale on the open market, then these are usually the types of images you're ordering and receiving. These photos are taken specifically for one purpose: advertising that property for sale, and your rights to these photos expire the minute that contract is signed and the house is sold. These images can be used on any MLS site, Zillow, Redfin, or any other listing site, and can be used on social media sites like Facebook and Instagram. They can also be used on your website to advertise that property for sale, but they cannot be used to advertise your own personal brand or your company without the previous consent from your photographer. Generally speaking, if you want to use these images for anything other than the direct sale of that property, you must clear it with the owner of the images in advance, also known as your photographer. And these extra usage rights will come with an extra fee 90% of the time. If that property sells and you want to continue using one of these images as marketing materials, you need to clear that with your photographer first. And once again, this is traditionally just a simple conversation. Now let's talk about advertising images and how they differ from MLS images. Advertising images are the ones that will be used for a longer period of time than just the sale of a single property. Maybe you want some images for your website. Maybe you want to create some social media ads, or possibly you want to create some print ads around town to drum up new clients. No matter the reason, if you're using images to promote your company or yourself personally and not the sale of a specific house, this is the type of photography you need. Usually this is a conversation that's had between client and photographer, and the common things spoken about are as follows. Man, my website, it only has images from a couple years ago. Let me give Jeremy a call. Oh, hey Jeremy, what's going on? Hey Jeremy, it's Jeremy, real estate agent. Yeah, I'm looking over my website and I've realized that, a lot of my images are a little outdated and I just kind of want to update the images there. Oh yeah, man, that makes sense. So, what purpose are you actually using them for? Well, I'm just going to be using them on my website. I'd really like to use some of the images you've already taken. Yeah, that's it. I don't need any advertising space or anything like that for it. Oh, okay. Using for your website, just putting it on my website. No problem at all. How long? Oh, how long do I want to use them? I don't know, probably about a year, maybe 2, something like that. Just kind of depending on, I want to keep things fresh and relevant. All right. Well, that will be the amount of money. Awesome, man. I'm so glad I reached out to you to ask. Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for calling. Bye. The only thing that usually does not involve these types of conversations are general agent headshot images. Though these are considered advertising images, it's known in advance that these images will be used to represent you personally on all platforms, so that's already built into the pricing. Now I know, that was a lot of information, and most of it was not what you were expecting. But the good thing is that even though all that information sounds daunting, it really is not. It just breaks down to knowing the photographer will always own the images, And when you place an order for anything photography related, or anything else in life for that matter, make sure you're ordering what you need. If you're not sure, just ask. Most times, as I mentioned before, it's a simple conversation, and knowing the answer is always better than guessing at it. You would not pull up to a drive-through and tell them to give you anything on the menu. You'd pick exactly the meal you want and pay exactly what that meal costs. You don't pull up to the car dealership and say, "Give me any car on the lot." You pick the make, model, and accessories you want and pay exactly what that vehicle costs. It's no different for photographic services. You tell your photographer exactly what you need the images for, and you pay the price for that exact service. Not only that, there is no better way to get on your photographer's good side than to ask them what it will cost to use one of the images they've already taken for you for an advertising campaign. Not only will they be super surprised you even knew to ask, most times they'll feel their time and craft are respected by you as the client, and 9 times out of 10, you just got yourself a free advertising image. I really hope all this information helped clear up the rights for images taken for you on site and the rights associated with them. As always, if you like the information I presented and the way I presented it, please press that like button, mash that subscribe button as hard as you can. It helps me on the back end, and it also helps me decide what future content to make. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.